I stood in the middle of the crowded cafe, my hands trembling, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it would tear out of my chest. Every eye in the room was on me, every whisper stabbing me like tiny knives. And there she was, Samantha, smirking in the corner as if she hadn't just destroyed my entire life in a single afternoon. The email she sent to my boss was open on every phone screen in the room. My secrets, deep, personal, private things I had only told her, were now being passed around like gossip at a high school lunch table. And the worst part? The last line in her message. She's dangerous. She's capable of murder. My whole body went cold. That wasn't just betrayal, it was a death sentence in my world. My boss, my coworkers, even strangers now looked at me like I was a ticking bomb. I locked eyes with her. She lifted her coffee cup in a mock toast, her lips curling into a smile that said, "What are you going to do about it?" Oh, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was going to make her regret every single letter she typed in that email. I was going to turn her entire world upside down. But first, I had to make her trust me again. You might be wondering, how did I get here? How did my best friend become my worst enemy? Well, to understand that, I need to start from the beginning. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 29 years old, born and raised in Ohio, but now living in Chicago. I grew up in a small, quiet town where everyone knew everyone's business and gossip traveled faster than the wind. My parents were ordinary people. Mom was a nurse, Dad worked in construction. We weren't rich, but we had enough to live a decent life. I was an only child, which meant I learned early how to entertain myself. But it also meant I craved deep connections. So when I met Samantha Reed in college, I thought I'd found my forever friend. She was everything I wasn't: loud, confident, the kind of girl who could walk into a room and make everyone turn their heads. We were inseparable. Sleepovers, road trips, late-night talks that went on until sunrise. I told her things I had never told anyone, things about my childhood, my heartbreaks, my fears, and one particular thing that could ruin my life if it ever came out. I thought I could trust her with it. I thought wrong. It all started 2 years ago, when I was going through the worst breakup of my life. My ex, Daniel, wasn't just a bad boyfriend. He was the kind of man who could ruin you if you crossed him. He was charming in public, but cruel behind closed doors. The night I finally left him, something happened, something I've never told anyone except Samantha. For months after, Samantha was my rock. She'd bring wine to my apartment, listen to me cry, distract me with stupid jokes. I thought she was doing it out of love, but now I know she was collecting every tear, every confession, like ammunition for a war I didn't know was coming. The first sign of trouble was small. She started dropping little comments that felt off. Like mentioning something I told her in confidence during a party, making it sound like a harmless joke, but watching my reaction closely. Then came the bigger red flags. She began hanging out with people who didn't like me. People I'd told her had tried to ruin my reputation in the past. I should have walked away then. But I didn't. Because that's the thing about trust. You don't realize it's gone until it's too late. The night everything changed was a Friday. I was home alone when I got a phone call from my boss, his voice tight and cold. "Emily," he said, "we need to talk. Now." When I got to the cafe, I didn't know Samantha would be there. I didn't know she'd be sitting in the corner with that smile, watching my life burn. My boss slid his phone toward me, and my stomach dropped. There it was, an email from Samantha, spilling everything I'd ever told her. But she didn't just share my secrets. She twisted them. She made me look dangerous. She made me look like a criminal. And then one sentence that froze my blood. She told me herself what happened to Daniel the night she left him. "If you look into it, you'll find the truth." My mind raced. She couldn't have, could she? If she told anyone the truth about that night, my legs went weak. I gripped the table, my nails digging into the wood. But before I could say anything, my boss leaned in and asked the question that would change everything. "Emily, did you kill him?" And that's when I knew this wasn't just betrayal. This was war. I opened my mouth to answer. But then the police walked in. They were looking for me. 2 uniformed officers walked straight toward me, their heavy boots thudding against the cafe floor. The entire place went silent, the air thick with curiosity and judgment. I could feel every single stare drilling into my back. "Emily Carter?" the taller officer asked, his tone flat but his eyes sharp. "Yes." My voice was barely a whisper. "You need to come with us." My heart pounded so hard I thought I might faint. "Why? What's going on?" "You're not under arrest yet," the other officer said, "but we have some questions about the disappearance of Daniel Hayes." The name hit me like a slap. I froze. My gaze flicked to Samantha. She didn't even try to hide her smile. In fact, she looked satisfied. I knew right then. She had told them. She had taken the one night I trusted her with, the one night I swore I'd never speak of again, and handed it over to the police like a gift-wrapped package. The cafe blurred around me. My legs moved on autopilot as the officers led me outside. My boss didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His silence screamed everything. "You're finished here." They didn't cuff me, but they might as well have. Walking to that police car felt like a walk to my own funeral. Inside the station, they took me into a cold interview room. The walls were gray, the air stale. The fluorescent light above buzzed like an angry insect. I sat down, my hands clasped together, so tight my knuckles went white. Detective Morales walked in, a stocky man with a thick mustache and eyes that looked like they could read through skin. He dropped a folder on the table. "You were the last person seen with Daniel Hayes the night he disappeared," he said. "Care to explain?" I swallowed hard. "I told you before we broke up. I left." He leaned forward. "That's not what your friend says." My stomach twisted. "Friend." The word burned. "She says you told her something different. Something about a fight. Something about you losing control." I shook my head. She's lying. Morales opened the folder. Inside was a photo of Daniel, smiling, alive, his arm around me. Then another photo. Daniel's car, abandoned on a dirt road. "Emily," Morales said, his tone softening, "we just need to know where you went after you left his apartment that night." My mind screamed at me to tell the truth. But the truth was dangerous. The truth could land me in prison. So I lied. "I went home." His eyes narrowed. He didn't believe me. They kept me there for hours, asking the same questions in different ways. I didn't break. But when they finally let me go, I knew this wasn't over. Outside, the cold air hit my face like a slap. I looked across the street, and there she was, Samantha, standing by her car, watching me. She didn't say a word. She just mouthed 2 sentences before getting in and driving away. "I warned you. Now it's your turn to lose everything." For days after, my life unraveled. My boss put me on indefinite leave while they looked into the matter. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Even my landlord hinted that maybe I should consider moving on. The only person who seemed eager to talk to me was Samantha. She called, pretending to be concerned, asking what the police had said. I didn't answer, but that's when the shift happened. The anger started burning hotter than the fear. And when I'm angry, I don't just get even. I get ahead. So I started watching her. Not in a casual way, no, I learned her schedule. I knew when she went to the gym, when she shopped for groceries, when she met up with her new boyfriend. Someone I happened to know had a criminal record. And that's when I realized something. Samantha had secrets, too. Secrets she thought I didn't know. Secrets that could ruin her life. I made a decision that night. I wasn't going to clear my name by proving my innocence. I was going to destroy hers. The first step? Making sure her perfect little world had a crack big enough for me to wedge my hands in and tear it apart. And my chance came faster than I expected. On the night I saw her leaving that hotel room with a man who wasn't her boyfriend. I was parked across the street when I saw her. Samantha stepped out of the dimly lit hotel lobby, her hair a little messy, her lipstick smudged. Beside her was a man in an expensive suit, his hand resting far too comfortably on her lower back. It wasn't her boyfriend, Jason. Jason was tall, blonde, and worked construction. This man was older, clean-shaven, with salt and pepper hair, and a gold watch that looked like it could pay off my student loans. They laughed at something only they could hear. Then he leaned down and kissed her. Not a quick peck. Not the kind of kiss you give a friend. No, this was the kind of kiss that burned down marriages. She didn't see me. Not yet. I grabbed my phone, zoomed in, and snapped photo after photo. Each click of the camera felt like a nail in the coffin I was building for her. The moment she got into a Blacktown car and drove away, I started digging. It didn't take long to find out who the mystery man was. Richard Hall, a wealthy businessman and Jason's boss. Oh, Samantha. You really did hand me the matches to burn you alive. The next morning, I paid a visit to Jason's construction site. He was easy to find, shirt off, sweat dripping, carrying a beam across the lot. I almost felt bad for what I was about to do. Almost. Hey, I called out, holding my phone like it was nothing more than a casual text. Mind if I show you something? He wiped his hands on his jeans, smiled, and took my phone. The smile faded fast. What the hell is this? His voice cracked in the middle. That's Samantha, I said simply. Leaving a hotel with your boss last night. Jason's face turned red, not from the sun, but from rage. When was this? Less than 12 hours ago. He didn't say another word, just handed the phone back, turned, and stormed off toward his truck. I didn't know if he'd go to Samantha or Richard first, but I knew one thing. Her perfect little love life was about to implode. And I wasn't done yet. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered, and there was silence for a few seconds. Then, Samantha's voice, cold and sharp. What the hell did you do? I smiled to myself. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play games with me, Emily. Jason just broke up with me, and Richard's threatening to fire him. You think you're clever? Oh, I don't think I'm clever, I said. I know I am. There was a pause, then she laughed. But it wasn't the laugh of someone amused. It was the laugh of someone who'd just decided to fight back. You want war? Fine. Let's see who survives it. The next morning, I woke up to something that made my blood run cold. Taped to my apartment door was an envelope. Inside was a single photo of me, standing in front of Daniel's abandoned car. I had no idea that photo even existed. And there was a note on the back in her handwriting. Tick-tock, Emily. I stared at it for a long time. She was telling me she still had ammunition. She was telling me she could still put me in prison if she wanted. But she had just made her biggest mistake. She'd shown her hand too soon. Now I knew she had proof. And if I could get it, I could destroy her completely. That night, I decided to break into Samantha's apartment. And that's when I found something I wasn't supposed to see, something that changed the entire game. It was just after midnight when I slipped on my black hoodie and gloves. The streets outside Samantha's building were quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every little sound feel like a gunshot. I knew her habits well enough to know she'd be out. Wednesday nights were wine nights with her new group of girlfriends, the ones who thought she was some kind of glamorous queen. She usually stumbled home after 2 in the morning. That gave me enough time. The lock on her back door was laughably easy. Cheap, probably installed by the last tenant. A simple jiggle with a tension wrench, and I was inside. The place smelled like her perfume, sweet but with a sharp edge, just like her. I kept my steps light, heading straight for her bedroom. That's where she kept her desk, the one with the little silver lockbox inside the bottom drawer. I knew about the lockbox because I'd seen her stash things in it before. Letters, flash drives, envelopes. Things she didn't want anyone to find. I knelt down and worked the lock. It clicked open with barely any effort. Inside, I found exactly what I was looking for, a stack of manila envelopes, each labeled in her neat handwriting. My stomach twisted when I read the labels. Emily, Daniel. Jason, Richard. Dad, Vegas trip. Mom, pills. She had files on everyone. Not just me. But it was the flash drive that made my pulse race. It was labeled Daniel, car pic. I plugged it into her laptop, my hands trembling. There it was, the photo of me standing in front of Daniel's car. But that wasn't all. There were more pictures. Close-ups of the car door handle, the trunk, even a grainy shot of me loading a black trash bag into the trunk. Except, I knew for a fact that never happened. She'd faked them. That was when the sound of a key turning in the front door made my blood freeze. I yanked the flash drive out, shoved it in my pocket, and closed the lockbox as quietly as I could. I slipped into her walk-in closet just as the door opened. Her heels clicked against the hardwood. She was home early. Too early. Through the slats in the closet door, I could see her toss her purse onto the couch and kick off her shoes. She muttered something under her breath, probably complaining about the cold.
Then she stopped.
Her head tilted slightly, like she was listening. I held my breath. She walked toward the bedroom. My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure she could hear it. She stepped inside, looked around, and then went to her desk. I watched her pull the lockbox out. She opened it. She reached inside. And then she froze. Her eyes narrowed. Her hand hovered over the empty space where the flash drive had been. Slowly, she turned her head toward the closet. We locked eyes through the slats. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she smiled slow, cruel. "You've made a big mistake, Emily." She reached for her phone. That was when I realized I had only two choices, run or make sure she couldn't call anyone. And I chose the one that would change everything. I moved before I could think, shoving the closet door open so hard it slammed into the wall. Samantha's phone was halfway to her ear when I lunged for it, grabbing her wrist. "Let go," she hissed, twisting hard, but I yanked the phone from her hand and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and shattered, pieces scattering across the hardwood. Her eyes went wide. Part shock, part rage. "You're insane." "No," I said, my voice low and shaking. "I'm done letting you win." She stepped back, but I stepped forward. We were just a few feet apart now, and I could see the rise and fall of her chest, the flicker of fear she tried to hide. "You think you can ruin my life and walk away smiling? You think you can tell lies to the cops, to my boss, and not pay for it?" Her chin lifted, defiant. "You ruined your own life, Emily. I just told the truth." "That's not the truth," I snapped, pulling the flash drive from my pocket and holding it up. "This is a lie, and I can prove it." She smirked. "Who do you think they'll believe? Sweet, charming me, or the woman everyone already thinks killed her boyfriend?" Something inside me snapped. I grabbed her by the front of her blouse and shoved her against the wall. Her smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of panic. "You don't get it, do you?" I said, my voice low. "Dangerous. You've got secrets too. I know about Richard. I know about your dad. I even know what happened in Vegas." Her eyes widened. "You." "Yeah," I cut in. "You're not as careful as you think." She shoved me back, hard. I stumbled but didn't fall. "Get out of my apartment before I really call the police," she spat. But I didn't move. I leaned in close, my voice barely above a whisper. "If I go down, Samantha, I'm taking you with me, and I promise, you'll wish you'd never met me." For a moment, neither of us moved. We just stood there, breathing hard, locked in a silent war that had no end in sight. Then, from the hallway outside, there was a sudden, heavy knock on her door. We both froze. The knock came again, louder this time, and then a voice, deep, authoritative, called out, "Chicago PD, open the door." My blood turned to ice. Had she called them before she got home? Had someone seen me come in? Samantha's eyes lit up with sick satisfaction. "Looks like your luck just ran out," she whispered. But then the officer's next words made her face drain of color. "We need to speak to Samantha Reed regarding an open investigation." I turned to her slowly, a smile tugging at the corner of my mouth. Because I knew exactly which investigation they were here for. The color drained from Samantha's face so fast it was almost satisfying to watch. She glanced at me, her mouth opening like she wanted to speak, but no words came out. Another loud, urgent knock shook the door. "Ms. Reed, open the door," the officer barked. My heart was hammering, but not from fear. This time it was from anticipation. This was it. The moment I had been waiting for. I leaned closer to her ear. "Guess you're not the only one with friends in the right places." Her eyes widened in realization. "You." "Yep." I cut her off. Remember Richard Hall? Your little hotel fling? Turns out the wife of a wealthy businessman is very persuasive when she hears her husband's been cheating, and she's not above hiring a private investigator. I stepped back and folded my arms, watching as Samantha's composure cracked. She had built her life on controlling the narrative, on being the one who pulled the strings. But now, someone else was yanking them, and she didn't like the feeling. Another knock. Louder this time. "Ms. Reed, if you don't open this door, we'll enter by force." Her breathing turned shallow. "What did you tell them?" "Enough," I said simply. "Enough to make them very interested in that hotel meeting. Enough to make them start digging into all the things you've been hiding." She glared at me, but I could see it. Underneath the anger was fear. Real, deep fear. Finally, with shaking hands, she went to the door and opened it. 2 officers stepped inside, along with a woman in a sharp navy suit, Richard's wife, Melanie Hall. She didn't even look at me. Her eyes were locked on Samantha, like she was prey. "Samantha Reed?" one officer said. "We have questions regarding your involvement in a blackmail and extortion case." Samantha's head snapped toward me. "Blackmail? I didn't." "Save it." Melanie cut her off, her voice icy. "We have phone records, texts, and would you look at that? Photographs of you leaving the hotel with my husband." Samantha's knees buckled slightly. "This isn't." "You can explain it downtown," the officer interrupted, pulling out a pair of handcuffs. As the cuffs clicked around her wrists, her eyes locked on mine. "This isn't over, Emily," she hissed. I smiled sweetly. "Oh, it's over. You just don't know it yet." They let her out, the sound of her heels dragging on the floor like the slow scrape of defeat. Melanie gave me a curt nod before following them. I stood in the middle of her apartment for a moment, letting it all sink in. The weight I'd been carrying for months started to lift. The flash drive was still in my pocket, my insurance policy in case she ever tried to crawl her way back into my life. By the next day, the gossip that once surrounded me had shifted entirely. Samantha's arrest was all over the news. Blackmail, workplace affairs, extortion. My name didn't come up once. It was poetic. She had tried to destroy me with lies, but in the end, it was the truth that destroyed her. I didn't see her again after that. Last I heard, she took a plea deal to avoid a long prison sentence. Chicago is a big city, but small enough that our paths could cross one day. And if they do, I'll be ready. Because I learned something important through all of this. Trust is a loaded gun. You put it in someone's hands, and they can either protect you or pull the trigger. Samantha pulled the trigger. But I made sure I was the one who walked away from the smoke.